Hello ladies and gentlemen, once again Draco Magnius here for another Point 5 episode. This time we're covering the familiars in the Ivory Tower. I mean, it seemed more like a castle to me than a tower, but that's the name of the dungeon that we're about to head to, the Ivory Tower. The reason I'm doing this, same reason for the last two. The Ivory Tower is the most familiars in the entire game, boasting a total whopping 19 different creatures one can encounter in this one place. There is no new creatures. Well, I mean, technically there are, but they're not in the companion, so I can't cover them. I mean, if I were to include the ones that are, air quotes, new, that can't be captured, that's probably 22 different familiars that are in here. But again, I don't count them as familiars because they're not in the book, so they're not to be counted. Everything else is a reminder, so this should go relatively quickly. I do have something to mention on a particular familiar, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Without further ado, let's get started. First up is the Splatterhorn. Splatterhorn is resistant to physical attacks. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Healing Rain, Bracer, Petrifying Poke, and more. Alright, now let's move on to number 2. Next on the list is a familiar we should be quite familiar with, Mermite. Circorit. Mermite is resistant to water, but weak to fire. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Snowblower, Splish Splash, Soul Shield, and more. And number 3 on our list is... Next up is the Elegant Tiger. Weak to Storm, unknown what they drop, but they know Slice and Dice, Pyropuff, Hocus Focus, and more. Not done yet, not even close. Next up is the Eye Catcher. Has no weaknesses or resistances. It is unknown what they would drop. They know Ray of Life, Mighty Light, Upsy Daisy, and more. Up next we've got the Paladin Partridge. It has a resistance to light. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Enlighten, Mighty Light, Ray of Life, and more. Next on the list is the Sharp Hooter. It is resistant to Storm and Dark, unknown what they drop, but they know Rockabye Baby, Lease of Life, Illwind, and more. Next, I believe we're moving into the Automata category. Our first robotic familiar is the Neolith. Neolith is resistant to physical attacks, like all other forms. Unknown what they drop, but knows Blazing Breath, Blunt, Leech, and more. Next we'll have Mega Man Villain number 4 and Tinny Tim, Beam-Man. It is resistant to physical attacks and weak to Storm. Unknown what they drop, but they know Thunderstorm, Soul Shield, Bracer, and more. Next we're going to be moving on to something a bit more floral. The Tropical Babud. Tropical Babud is resistant to water and weak to fire, like all of its other forms. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Healing Rain, Lease of Life, Twinkle Twinkle, and more. Alright, after that, we're going to be covering a very special familiar. This one in the Nymphae family. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the last Toko we can find in the game. Without evolution, the Tokotokold. Tokotokold is resistant to light and weak to darkness. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Snowblower, Rolling Stone, Healing Rain, and more. Now this is the one I wanted to touch on. The Tokotokold are worth 24,000 EXP per pop. They are... From the information I found, supposedly they're only found on the 2nd floor of the Ivory Tower, just before the final teleporter in the C-shaped hallway. However, that being said, while playing in my practice file, I found one on the 1st floor on the right side, so I don't know how credible that information is. Either way, they are extremely rare. I would recommend using the C-shaped hallway to find them because it's the easiest area to get things to despawn and respawn by going back and forth. But that being said, I would not discourage you from just wandering around with Veil on hoping to bump into one. They are weak to darkness, so Everstar might be the way to take them down. However, if you do have a Kesteros like I do, I find that one war cry and a belly blast is enough to take them down one shot, one kill every time. You could try using Even Star, but why take the risk? Also, you might want to steal from them because I have no idea what they drop, and I've seen they haven't really tried to run at the beginning, though that could just that could be just because I demolished them with the belly burst. But again, can't say. Anyway, we move on to the next one on the list, the Mahanaja. Mahanaja is weak to Storm. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Snowball, Snowblower, Soul Shield, and more. But with that done, we move on to the next one on the list, Demoliceros, the other form that Yoshi could have become. Demoliceros are resistant to fire, but weak to water. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Slash and Burn, Yoo-Hoo, Spire of Fire, and more. With that said and done, we move on to the Arcana section for our next two familiars. Our first Arcana familiar is the Honky Tonker. Honky Tonker has no weaknesses or resistances. It's unknown what they drop, but they know Love Struck, Rockabye Baby, Twinkle Twinkle, and more. With that said and done, we move on to the next Arcana familiar, which is the Astralinks. Astralinks are resistant to light. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Twinkle Twinkle, Upsy Daisy, Lease of Life, and more. Next, we move to the more demonic section of our list here, starting with the Sinister Sovereign. Sinister Sovereign has no weaknesses or resistances. It's unknown what they drop, unfortunately. And they know Hot Huff, Ray Gun, Black Blast, and more. But we are not done. Oh no, there are still plenty of demons on this list. The next one being Nightshade. Nightshade has no weaknesses or resistances. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Time to Shine, Rockabye Baby, Demon's Fury, and more. We still got two more demons on this list. The next one is the fighter for justice, Impaler. Impaler is resistant to light but weak to physical attacks. It is unknown what they drop, but they know Light Relief, Healing Tear, Twinkle Twinkle, and more! But we are not done, dear viewer. We still have one more demon to go. And the last demon on the list is the Medics. Medics are resistant to darkness. Unknown what they drop, but they know Healing Rain, Water Cannon, Shower Curtain, and more. But, all that said and done, there is but one more familiar that can be found in the Ivory Tower. The very last familiar we're covering is the Noble Bone Baron. Bone Barons are resistant to physical attacks, but weak to water. It is unknown what they drop. They know Soul Shield, Slice and Dice, Maddening Melody, and more. But with that all said and done, ladies and gentlemen, we have no more familiars to cover in this book for any reason outside of post-game rewards for things that we'll be doing in the future. But at this moment in time, during the main storyline, there is nothing else to cover. So with all that said and done, I'll see you in the next episode.